And I'm here today at, you can see behind me, Eldorado Canyon State Park. And this is in Eldorado Canyon, Colorado. I'm actually not that far from where I live, but it's been over 10 years since I've gone into this state park. So I do have a pass to get in, so I didn't have to pay anything. But I think it's about a $10 vehicle charge and a $4 walk-in charge, unless you pay the state parks pass, which I think on your registration is an extra $27. So if you frequent these parks, the Colorado state parks, it's definitely worth it. But here is Eldorado Canyon State Park, and look at these just beautiful formations here. That looks like a dividing line between the geologic formations. We got a nice little line coming up. I was able to find parking, and so there it is. And this canyon has been eroded, this little V-shaped canyon in here. As you can hear, you can probably hear Boulder Creek, South Boulder Creek. So there's a reason why I'm here that has to do with geology. And so I'm going to walk up the road here a ways and get into this a little bit. Here's a kiosk, or some people would call them a storyboard. And as you can see, this is a nice rock climbing area. We might see some rock climbers today. Here's park regulations. The park is open from sunrise to sunset. It's really a nice day. It's probably going to be in the 80s. But I do have a valid Colorado State Parks pass. But I won't go through all of these regulations. But this is part of Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Down there, and beautiful formation here. Now, if I hold the camera, the sound, I don't have a windsock or what they call a dead cat on my phone, so intermittently you might hear some wind hitting the camera microphone. But you've got probably a number of different geologic formations here. And if you notice, these formations here or they're uplifted at one end, and if you notice, it looks like they go down at about a 45 or 50 degree angle. So they're uplifted at one end and not uplifted at the other end. Here's one of these You Are Here maps, where I'm right here, and I guess you got in here, you got the whale's tail, the red garden wall, and the West Ridge. And I want to go down here where it says parking, and there's the West Ridge, because there's some geology down here. Let's see, if I go up there, it's called Cadillac Crag, and the visitor center is way up here. So I'm going to go ahead here and cross the bridge, get onto the other side. I know there's hiking on both sides here, and again, we're in kind of a wind pocket. So I hope my voice is coming through. We've got some rock climbers over here. Oh, we've got some way up there too. I've got to hold my hat on just a minute. And then I'm going to continue across the bridge. Here's the downstream part of Boulder Creek. It's really high right now because of the snow melt. And there's a couple of climbers up here. Got pet regulations. So now I know why they call this wind tower. This is a technical rock climbing access. Please stay on trail. But I'm not going that way. I'm going this way. As I'm going up this trail, here's a cave. Wow. This is really something. Someone apparently has lit a fire up here. I don't know how far back the evidence of the fires go. Probably back to before Colorado was even discovered by our local white people. So on this particular trail, this looks like it's about as far back as I can go without trying to get into any climbing. So I'm going to probably turn around and go back and go across go on the other side of Boulder Creek. This is the creek down here. And I'm going to go on to the other side. I'm going to go back to the bridge and walk up here. Probably we'll see some climbers. There's some climbers right there, and there's some more of them. They almost look like they're free climbing. And again, it's just an absolutely beautiful day. I had to recross Boulder Creek, South Boulder Creek, and I went through the V formation on the road up here to the Eldorado State Park headquarters, which is the direction that I'm headed in. I'm headed west, and it got really, really windy. I was probably in a little bit of a wind tunnel, so I didn't want to stop. So I'm slightly going uphill right now, so I might be sounding like I'm a little out of breath. So I'm at this formation here. Look at that, boy, that's straight up from where I'm at. Now, I believe this is what they call the fountain formation, which I think goes back to the time of the ancestral Rocky Mountains. So there are actually two sets of Rocky Mountains. There's the ancestral Rockies, and so I want to put my disclaimer in before I go on. I am not a geologist. I'm not trained. I don't have any degrees in geology. There's Boulder Creek. I don't think I would want to go tubing or anything in there at this point. It's gushing way too much. So the original Rocky Mountains, the ancestral, goes back about 280 million years. So at some point in the past, I'm not sure how many millions of years ago, the current Rocky Mountains were uplifted in a straight block, and then they started erosion, and ice ages started wearing the Rocky Mountains down. So at some point, these were formed, and these would be part, if they're part of the fountain formation, which I believe they are, these would be really part of the flat irons that are north and south of here in Eldorado Canyon. Boulder Creek. Boy, that is, look at that. That is really going in there. Now, I don't know, I think these might be, I'm not sure, these might be around 70 million years old. I'm not sure when they were uplifted, but they were uplifted at one end. As you can see, from west to east, they slope downward. Here's some more. Boulder Creek. You can really hear the noise in here. Well, at some point in here, the fountain formation ends, or it's probably where the uplift begins. The problem is the ancestral Rockies, and this might be what I'm looking for right up here. And I'll see if there's one on this side. This might be what I'm looking for right in here, because you can see where the fountain formation, as we're going uphill, it stops, but it really begins up here. Now, this is a little hard for a layperson like me to explain. You really need a geologist to explain this, but we're probably going to have the same thing over here, because all there is a cut due to Boulder Creek cutting through the two sides of the mountains. But over here to the right, you have a formation that started maybe 70 million years ago, just to the left where these pine trees are. You have deposits probably from before, way before the ancestral Rocky Mountains, and that's the sediment that Boulder Creek has brought down and continues to bring down, that are about 1.2 billion with a B years old. Now, when you have 70 million and 1.2, that's quite a difference in age. Now, maybe this isn't the area that I'm thinking about, because you still have huge rocks in here that are still leaning from west to east. So as I said, I'm not a geologist. I'm just up here trying to figure out where this area might be. As I understand, you can put your hand right in it. And in geologic terms, it's called an unconformity. And there's something that's all over the world the evidence. It's called the Great Uncomformity. And that's what I'm looking for in here. Just with my untrained eyes, I want to see if I can find it. Here's a slab right here. That's probably part of the Flatirons. Yeah, we could see, it looks like we could see the same thing on the other side of the road here. Here's the top. Up north of here, near Chautauqua, you can actually go hiking between the Flatirons. And this is just really beautiful up here. These are obviously slabs, probably from the Flatirons that have taken a pretty good tumble. Here's another rock formation. Now that looks like the fountain formation up there. And then these look almost like completely different rocks in here. And I think this is really interesting when you look at geologic terms, because it almost comes alive. I think this is fascinating. Here I am at another map. And I was, let's see, I'm at the Fowler Trail. This is the Fowler Rattlesnake Gulch Trail. Now, when I started the video, I was down here and I was taking this, it looks almost black, dark brown, but now I'm over here. Now the Fowler Trail and Rattlesnake Gulch go up here. I've been on Rattlesnake Gulch, which is this trail. I'm not going to go up there today. I'm going to say that for another day, but I've been on that probably the first time I came up here. So my goal is to get up here to the visitors center. And I want to find out now, if you take the West Ridge, I'm really more or less of the opinion right now that that would have been the Great Unconformity. But I'm going to ask someone there if that's in fact what it is. There's another ridge here called Quartzsite Ridge. And then at the visitor center, you can take a trail here called Eldorado Canyon Trail, which I've also been on. And you can take that to the Walker Ranch Trail Loop, which I've been at Walker Ranch many times. It's a really good conditioning trail if you want to get yourself in condition to hike the Colorado high country. I believe this in here is what they call the Quartzsite Ridge. And when just a while ago I pointed the camera upwards, I think that's what we were saying, I can see a lot of quartzite in here. The white rocks, they're really pretty. I'm gonna get right in on here. They're crystallized, I guess, if you want to call it that. Pull back. I don't know if that's blurred enough. This is really beautiful. There's some lichens there, but boy, that is just gorgeous. This would be part of Quartzsite Ridge. I don't think this is part of the fountain formation, so this is going to be quite a bit older. The rocks are very fractured here, so they're probably going to be wearing down quite a bit faster. Here comes a car. I'm going to get out of its way. And here's another bridge with some signs up here. Of course, we're at the very end of June, and it would probably be a no-brainer not to be setting off fireworks up here because it's a grave fire hazard. So there it is, fireworks prohibited. Here's the sign to the visitor center, which is down here. If I go up there, that's an authorized vehicles only. This is just beautiful in here. Even if I'm not coming up here for to talk about geology, it's just absolutely gorgeous in here. I've forgotten how beautiful this is. Now, on the weekends, they do have a reservation system, which a lot of the parks, I know Rocky Mountain National Park does. And this is, I know this reservation system started 4 years ago with COVID, and it seems to work to keep the crowds under control. So I'm walking up here towards the visitors center. As I'm getting closer to the visitors center, I'm in the parking lot, and I've already had a couple cars that have stopped for me in a nice way to tell me to get out of the way. So I'm going to go through here. It's always a good idea, by the way, to keep an eye out, keep your eyes and ears out for rattlesnakes. Now, this is also a picnic area in here. And it's nice because once in a while you can smell people that are doing a little bit of a cookout. And boy, it reminds me a long time ago of going camping. And being able to smell something cooking by the campfire. And here's the Eldorado Canyon State Park Visitor Center. This is the Eldorado Canyon trailhead that goes up here. Here's the kiosk or the storyboard, whatever you want to call it. So let's see, that's the entrance. I'm way back here right now. This is a smaller indexed map. I was just inside of the visitor center, and I asked a couple people what they knew about the Great Uncomformity, and they didn't really know that much, and that's fine. One person said that geology was just way over her head, and it's basically way over my head too. But gee, if you have an interest in something, then start reading and start studying and start getting out in the field, because you never know what you're going to find. And but if I'm going to say this with a certain amount of error, but I'm pretty sure that is the Great Unconformity that I had pointed out earlier. And again, the evidence of that is all over the world. And it's at least a 1 billion year gap in the geologic record. Of course, now if you know what it is, then the second question is, why is it what it is? How does 1 billion years of geologic time just disappear? And you might want to read about a phenomenon that occurred over 5 100 million years ago called Snowball Earth. So I'll say that again, Snowball Earth, where basically the temperature in the Earth cooled down to probably below zero. There was probably about a mile thick of glaciation that occurred all over the world. And this probably lasted for as far as what we know, probably for about 200 million years. Now, there could be other things going on besides that. But in 200 million years, you still have plate tectonics going on. And it's the plate tectonics that are going on underneath the ice that could work with the movement of the ice and wear down a billion years of geologic history. So that's pretty much what I've found out about the Great Uncomformity. So that's what I know right now. That's, again, I'm a lay person. I don't know that much about it, but that's what I can figure out. So I'm starting to head back towards my car, and I'm going to keep the camera running, and I'm going to go by that area again, which I think is the evidence in this part of the Great Unconformity. And here's, again, South Boulder Creek. Now, I still am not going to get anywhere into this water because it's a state park. I don't know if they allow tubing. They probably allow tubing at North Boulder Creek. But this is just gorgeous in here. Here's some pink granite that I've been standing on. Now here's a rock, which I did see in there. I did see a name for it. I've forgotten the name, so I'll probably try to remember to put it up, put the name of it up as a label. And let's see, okay. I want to get to the other side of this bridge without getting challenged by a car. Hold on to my camera really tight because my camera's over water. I'm not. So, South Boulder Creek. Now here's the south side of Eldorado Canyon, and that's what I think is the Great Unconformity on the south side, going up at the base of the fountain formation there. And you know, when you've got formations here that are as old as they are, you might have a mixture of old and younger rocks. So it's not as cut and dry as you would think. And because it's not cut and dry, doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong. It's just not cut and dry. So this is a pretty good drop over here to my left. And of course, there's no guardrails or anything. So I want to be real careful not to get in here and fall over. It looks like there might be a little bit of a trail where you could get down to the creek, which I really don't want to do right now. I just want to go ahead and get back to my car and then get something to eat. But here's a road cut. And again, I think this is part of the quartzite formation. This is probably part of that trail that I said probably goes down to Boulder Creek. Now that's really steep in there, and I don't have a walking pole or anything, so there's no way I'm gonna try that just to get down to the water. I could probably get down to the water closer to where I parked. But again, I'm going through a lot of the quartzite, and you can see the beautiful crystals in here. So again, this is where I think is evidence of the great unconformity of Eldorado Canyon. There's nothing that's a mystery about it. It sounds like it. I probably made it sound like, oh, it's this big mystery, but this is the fountain formation that I know of. Now, I did a hike a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago north of here at a place called the Old Kiln Trail, and I was probably incorrect on quite a few geological things up there, but hopefully I'm less incorrect here than I was there. So I am just near the end of the hike, and again there's beautiful South Boulder Creek that's just gushing right now, and I'm nearing the area where the wind tunnel is. So here's one of the rock climbing walls, and you can see down where that car is and people at the base. Somebody up here, here's somebody up here, there's someone way up there wearing an orange shirt. So in here is where it gets pretty windy, so let's just see. It's really noisy in here between the wind and between Boulder, South Boulder Creek. I don't want to lose my hat, but here's some of the rock climbers. Look at the strata in the rocks here. Just absolutely gorgeous. Well, I lost my hat, got it back, and one of the rock climbers was nice enough to see it, and he picked it up and gave it back to me. So I'm going to call it a day on this video. This is my first video. I'd love to come back here and do maybe do some hiking on the trails, do some more very amateur geology hiking, talk about geology, and do some hiking. So I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm glad, very glad you came with me, and now I've said this quite a bit. If you've gotten this far in this video here at Eldorado Canyon State Park in Colorado, I think you're absolutely awesome. If you haven't gotten this far, and you're probably not hearing this right now, I think you're absolutely awesome anyway. So have a great day, stay safe, and we'll see you next time, and thank you for coming along for the ride with me at Eldorado Canyon State Park. Something I didn't say is when I was at the visitor center, I picked up an appropriate hat for Eldorado Canyon CO State Park elevation. Well, there's a lot of elevation here, but I guess the base of it is 6,083